Maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio, 89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning. This week's edition of Tiger Talk 89.5, all things Westfield Tech Academy and more. Every Thursday morning, 7:30, 89.5. And we've got a little slice of heaven with Rob and Kevin today. My special guest host, Kevin Daly. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Did you like that intro song?
Well, yeah, it was a little lengthy, but
yeah.
You guys look like you just got one over on somebody. I see Mr. Daly smiling over there.
Well, you know what, Pete? I'm having trouble the seat, the microphone. This microphone's blocking me. I'm excited. We get the first time ever. We have a live studio audience.
Unbelievable. I'm so excited.
Let's
care for the studio audience.
We're going to be taking some calls today, right, Pete? Live calls?
No, we
Not
haven't.
yet,
We haven't
still.
negotiated that with the tech center yet.
All right. Every time I get on, I try to get that in.
I'll give your cell phone out after. They can call you, Mr. Daly.
All right. No, let's not do cell phones.
No, you don't want to do that, huh?
No.
And we may have some other guests coming in and out today for
We
the
definitely do.
audience.
We got a great show. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to give everybody a little slice of heaven.
Yeah.
Do
you like our new logo? Did you see it up on a monitor?
Is it up there right now, Pete?
Pete, can our folks watching see our new logo? Look at that.
Oh wow!
Little
Can you put
slice
that in
of
the
heaven
background
with
while we're doing it, Pete?
Rob and
Is that
Kevin.
possible?
So we
work on that.
Got to mention
Yeah,
that.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
So Joe Langone, Air Principal, he's finishing up MCAS this morning. So he's busy taking care of business in the building.
Absolutely.
So thanks for stepping in, Mr. Daly.
Well, thanks for having me again. When I get the opportunity, I'll take it because up in the bowels of the school, it doesn't always take to have time like this to have fun. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about a live studio audience. This is great. Who we got over there, Mr. Laurie?
Well, we have, let's see, we'll start with Mrs. Groom, who's serving multiple of tasks today as studio audience and then possible guests, and also might have to be called away for MCAS duty.
All right.
And then Carol's
Wears
husband,
many hats.
Bill, was Bill Groom, happy to join us today. And Mrs. Ribeiro, Carol's mom, Shirley, if you will, joining us today. So
That's
thanks
great.
for getting up bright and early.
You guys, could be a start of many more. So be ready. But you will be always noted as the first live studio audience of Tiger Talk. So that's pretty good.
And just a little tease for next year.
Maybe we can give him a gift.
Maybe we can get him a gift.
Yeah.
But this is somewhat of a pilot. We have some exciting programming for next year that we're working on.
What?
We'll be working on it this summer. And there they are, the studio audience. Excellent, wonderful.
Yeah, they had him up.
Show a little bit and get more folks from the community in and a little bit more interface with the guests.
I see this as potentially like a Regis Kathy Lee or Kelly Ripa show pretty soon. What do you think?
Well, I know.
No.
Alrighty then.
No. Okay. Well, we tried. Never know, Pete. Don't knock us out yet.
Well, Pete, as you know, producer Pete behind the board
I
there.
didn't say that you guys didn't do a good show. I just said it wasn't Regis and Kathy Lee.
Not yet, Pete.
Not
we
yet,
said
okay.
not yet.
Well, Pete, you're no Gilman, so.
That's true.
Growth
No.
mindset, Pete. Growth mindset.
But
yeah.
Pete, no, really, just Pete, maybe you should be the guest on our show because you've just for the audience listening, you've done a great job putting the studio together. Literally started from scratch, and you've been involved in our freshman exploratory, introducing the freshmen to multimedia and broadcasting and communications. As part of the graphics program. So you've done a great job your first year out of the chute. And I know you and I have talked about, again, increasing our programming and doing some remote shots where we can cover some events from the auditorium.
This weekend we did a remote from the 350 parade.
Sure you did.
And Emily and Will from the freshman class were out there, and we could not peel them off the cameras. I had relief camera operators set up. They were there for the entire 2 hours. Emily was on the street and Will was up in the truck, and we couldn't get them off the cameras.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah, that's super.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a great pathway for these kids. So, yeah, we're excited for next year and some, like I said, some expanded programming, some more opportunities for some live studio audience, roving reporters, a little bit more content from the students. We got a lot planned for next year.
We could have live reporting from the shops.
What's
What's going on today in auto tech?
right? Seriously,
Actually, we could do that.
we got some really cool things planned.
I
So
just spitball, guys, and if it catches, it's great. If not, I'll come up with another one. So we just keep working on it.
it's going to
This
be
is
part of
great.
our plans for the summer.
Mhm.
So,
Well, great summer planning.
yeah, absolutely.
Do we have coffee or anything for us
today?
Yeah.
You got to go next door.
Oh,
They don't.
all right.
They don't deliver.
Poor preparation.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
So-
We're working on it.
So we're gonna do a show on honey today.
Yeah.
Tell the folks at home about
Well,
how
it's-
this came about.
Well, if those of you that have tuned into the show before, the last time I guest hosted, the ratings, and I'm not saying this to brag or be boastful or anything like that, but the Nielsen ratings, Pete, you would agree, went through the roof on it. I got a lot of compliments. It hit Facebook Live. It was all over the place. And Rob, that's all the credit to you as well. But
Stop it.
I think we had Mrs. Gomez on, and she's
believe
our
you're
senior. She's our senior class advisor, and through the discussions with her, she talked about how she's a beekeeper, and as you know, we actually have a hive on campus because Mr. Sperry is also a beekeeper, the leader of our lead teacher of our horticulture department, and lo and behold, also Chef Rogers from our culinary department is also a beekeeper. So we thought, what a great idea! Let's have all three of them on the show. Let's talk about bees. Let's talk about honey. It'd be a sweet idea. No pun intended. You know how we work it into the school, because Mrs. Sperry's just walking in right now. But at first, when we were talking about having a hive up there, I was a little nervous. You know, I didn't want to get stung.
Right.
You know, but it's turning out great. So that was the start of it, and then we had a great idea with this show, and hopefully Mrs. Gomez can get out and Chef Rogers come down. I know Mr. Sperry brought a sample of his honey, and we can talk about that and give it out to the live studio audience. Do we have a brand on that, Mr. Sperry? Is there a name on that?
No, that's not a. I don't have a label on that honey particularly, but it's safe to eat. Don't worry.
Okay, good. I want to make sure we follow the FDA.
And Kev, just to go full circle, Shirley was listening to the show.
Yeah.
And intrigued, by a lot of the content, but really the honey struck her, and things got a little sticky at home. So, just had to get that in.
This is going to be.
So it's why we invited.
How many bee/honey references can we make in the show? Okay, it's
right.
on. Here we go. I was going to say sticky, but
Ready?
I got nothing.
Ready, go.
Yeah.
Well, the buzz will keep going around.
Oh, there was a
this
good
morning,
buzz
so.
about that. Nice. So, Nate, Mr. Sperry's here. We'll get to the honey in a second, but also what you'll be. Are you paying attention?
Yeah,
Mr.
we have a live listener in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
I noticed I lost
Yeah.
your focus for a minute. That's okay. I'll carry the show.
Yeah.
Mr. Sperry's here from horticulture, our lead teacher, and Nate. One of the big things that you do for the school and for your shop is the plant sale. I want to talk about that real quick. And tell us about the plant sale, how long you've been doing it, and how did we do this year with it?
Oh, well, we did very well with it this year. Actually, my predecessor, Mark Stewart, started the plant sale, and so it's been at least going as long as I've been here, which is, I think, 14 years or so. And every year it's grown a little bit. We've been able to take some of the proceeds that we've earned through the plant sale and add on to our greenhouse and expand the offerings that we have and so forth. And so when I came, we would sell about $5,000 worth of annuals, and now this year we sold $15,500 worth of annuals.
Staggering numbers.
That is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so it's really, it's really been a success, and really it's successful because the folks in Westfield and surrounding communities come and support us, and we're really appreciative of that.
Yeah, and those of you that haven't been to the plant sale, it's open from, what is it, Thursday, Nate?
No, we start the Tuesday before Mother's Day.
Tuesday, right.
So every year it's the week before Mother's Day, so Tuesday through Saturday.
And it is nonstop from Tuesday to Saturday. And Mr. Sperry comes down on Saturday on his own time, opens the place back up for business, and the plants you put out, and you get vegetables, you get hangers, you get
vegetables,
whatever
hanging
you
baskets, potted annuals. People can bring in their planter boxes and window boxes and so forth, and we'll pop those up for them too. So.
And how do the prices compare to if I went to Rockies?
I think we're pretty reasonable.
Are you right there?
Yeah, I think we're pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for a good cause, and to make that kind of money, and that money goes to expenses that you guys have.
Yeah, back to the shop, of course, it goes to buying all the materials for our next plant sale. Mm-hmm. But then we do make a little bit of a profit that we can reinvest in our program and buy equipment that we might need or different
like
things.
Tires for a tractor.
Yeah, there are some. We do have some pressing needs.
Yeah. But a couple things to note, and I got to tell you, my plants are doing great. So
good.
Thank you for that.
For now.
But we talk about it often on the show. If folks that are listening and watching, if you just, if you're a taxpayer in Westfield, if you just think about this, not only Nate's shop, but many of our shops here, they're to a large part, they're a business in and of itself. So instead of depending on tax funds to keep this school rolling, a lot of these shops, they have revolving accounts, and they produce their own income, whether it's Tiger's Pride or horticulture or some of the things electrical does, and that impact is huge on the city. The cost saving for the citizens is massive. So, not only are we educating the students, but we're really trying to. We'll never be self-supportive,
right,
but we're certainly doing our part to mitigate the expenditures from a tax standpoint, and we always got to bring that up because that's just critical.
Yeah, and
that's just the extra efforts on you guys, staying late, working weekends, going above and beyond, and it's pretty amazing what you guys do and what your students do.
Yeah, but it's also a good experience for the students as well, because
Right.
that's what industry's like.
That's
so
correct.
it provides a good learning opportunity.
Yep, those that are in industry, there's no when you got an event like that, there's no punching out the clock saying I'm out of here. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to make
That's
sure
true.
it succeeds. So
Yep.
That's great. So I'm glad that was successful. What else is going on in horticulture, Mr. Sperry, as we wind down the year?
Oh, well, we're doing a couple of various projects. We have a couple more remaining for this season. Currently, we're working on a property on the north side. So, we do go to residents' homes in Westfield to do landscape design and installation with the students. And so this week we've been working on a drainage project, as well as, today we're going to be heading down to the nursery and buying some plants and then planting it. And then we have to do a little masonry work there too, a little edging stones. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty comprehensive project on a relatively small lot. So we make a big impact on a small space. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice because it's, everything, it'll look great when we're done. So we should hopefully be wrapping up that project by Friday. And then we have a few more projects to get to
You're still
through the end of the
rolling
week.
along,
So,
huh?
we got about a month to go, and we got a number of things. Of course, we had a late spring, which didn't
Yeah,
really
that's
help.
true.
It was so wet and rainy, and it was tough to get some of the stuff done that we wanted to. But
Yeah. How's the interest been in your shop as far as younger kids?
yeah, it seems like it's ticked up a little bit, which is
Yeah,
good.
that is great.
Yeah, we got some really good students, and so I think that we have a new staff member, Miss Martinette, and I think she's been a big addition to the program, and so we're optimistic.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, and the projects they do, these are not just
They're not raking and blowing leaves.
no. And I think people misunderstand sometimes the complexity of some of the projects they do. I know, Nate, you did was it a pergola with a patio? Oh boy, is that a signal?
Oh, sorry about that. It was a straggler.
Oh,
Straggler.
get that. If I get stung, I'll be mad.
Wow.
I'm not allergic, but I'll tell you what. You ever get stung by a bee, Miss Solari?
Yes.
One time I'm
Like
walking in
needles.
yeah. You ever get stung on the foot?
Negative.
The little white flowers. Here it is again.
Watch out. Swat it.
We better call the nurse, get some EpiPens down here.
Are you allergic?
No, but
Oh,
we
well,
don't know.
that's not funny.
I think we got to take a break.
All right, let's roll to a break, Pete, right now before we derail, and let's come back.
I have that effect on groups. I'm sorry.
Come back, take us out, Mr. Laurie.
Yeah, all right. We'll pay some bills. We'll be right back. You're listening to Tiger Talk.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldState.bncollege.com.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio, 89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And we are back live this week's edition of Tiger Talk. Your host, Rob O'Leary, along with Kevin Daly. A little slice of heaven with Rob and Kevin today.
Now we got your logo behind you, too.
Oh, wow. See the logo? Mr. Daly's sitting in for Joe Langoni, who's busy with MCAS. Hey, just a quick shout-out to some listeners in East Greenwich, Rhode Island.
What?
Also Brighton, Massachusetts.
Whoa.
Yeah, checking in.
We are really, going across the eastern coast here. We used to have solid listeners down in Florida. Not sure if they're listening out, but a shout-out to Westfield, Mass. as well, north side.
It's fresh programming, Kev.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, this is great.
Can't wait to see the ratings.
And that's a great song by the Honey Drippers. You might remember that from back in the day.
Not too shabby.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay.
Boy. Go ahead, Nate Sperry joining us from Horticulture. We got a few more guests rolling in.
This
hopefully.
is good. This is going to be a good show.
Live studio audience.
Live studio. So this is the first, a lot of first here today. So I hope we don't drop the ball and get come unprepared and get stung by stuff. So
no.
That was a bad one. I'm trying to work them in.
It's going to be good.
Right. Yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
So what's going on here?
Yeah,
Talk
so
to us.
as we await for another honey guest, we just want to kind of, as we always do, recognize some great things that either are coming up or things that have happened. You mentioned the plant sale that Nate spoke of. Also want to give a nice shout out to Dustin Rainey, Jamie Coggin, and Alvin Brown for hosting our second annual car show. That was held this past Saturday at our campus, and they restored this awesome Mustang that made its debut in the parade, and they did a great job. They got it
fantastic.
They got it done. It sounded great. It painted a beautiful purple, but the car show was wonderful.
Yeah.
A lot of, over 40, I think, participants.
Yeah.
And that was a great event. A little later that day was the Westfield Fast Flat 5 race. I had a blazing time.
1,500 people.
Blazing time of 37 minutes.
1,500 people. 37 minutes. That's Mr. O'Leary, that's not bad. I mean, for a guy your age, to run 30, you're very in shape.
We had a stop.
I think Tina Gorman was around 34.
We had a guest with us, so we did a little walking. But it's not. You know what? I'm never gonna win a race, and I'm never gonna come in last. So.
Well, at least you ran. I mean, you're looking at this guy right here. I didn't even get a chance to go in it and beat my time from last year, which was slightly faster than 37. Not that I'm bragging, but whatever. But it was a busy weekend.
I'll tell you though, just again, I got to compliment the city. The roads were in great shape. The police officers were out. The crowd was out Saturday for the road race, cheering everybody on. The little get-together downtown after the party was awesome.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the local establishments.
They love that.
Were out and about, and just the energy was great. And then, of course, the parade on Sunday was great. And I just personally want to thank some of our teachers and students that participated. We had about 70 of our staff here.
I'm going to thank you.
Yeah.
Because Mr. O'Leary was he's the one that we talked about it. At first we talked about it in jest, like we should get in the parade, and then Rob was spearheading it, and we went around to all the shops, and at first it was like, hey, can we get a couple walkers from the shops? And as you know, Construction Tech was making a float for the Polish National Credit Union, which turned out unbelievable. And it turned into almost every shop represented.
I think you guys had a better turnout than Westfield State University, honestly.
Yeah, we were, as I looked at the parade, I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately. what a situation. We're not going to get into that, but I did watch it online, and we had such a great representation from all our shops. The car was there, Mr. Sperry. We had our horticulture truck in it.
I was a spectator.
Yeah,
I decided to be a spectator that day.
And Rob, your Jeep was filled with kids in the. Was that the Tiger in there with you?
The Tiger, yeah.
But you went above and beyond and got that going, because without your effort, I don't think we would have had one person in it in the parade. So kudos to you for your effort on that. And I know you didn't put a time card in for that, and that was a lot of time. What did we get there? Like 10 o'clock, 10:30?
Yeah, we had to get there. We had to start staging about 10:15.
And what time did we finish up? It was a big one.
I think we pulled off the road about 3-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big commitment, and it was for a great cause, obviously, and the parade was awesome.
And
we had a lot
again,
of good
perfect
things.
day. The crowd was great.
Yeah.
I mean, people were cheering us on. Everybody was just in a great
Now,
mood.
did you throw candy or food to the kid?
No.
What?
No, the safety concerns. We didn't want any of the youngins.
The liability policy wouldn't cover it.
Coming up to
Actually, for the parade.
liability.
My kids were very disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do kids get hit by bubble gum?
No, kids run out into the street in front of
Well,
cars.
if you take a Werther's original off the head, it could,
Yeah.
it could be bad.
Oh, wow. Running in the street. I get that, Pete.
Yeah, was the liability issue.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that's unfortunate. That's always something fun for the kids to get some candy on there, but I guess they don't want to run over by a car.
They
so.
said you could run it out to the kids along the side of the street if you wanted to do that, but you couldn't just throw it out there.
My grandson, my wife bought silly string for my grandson. That backfired. It blew back. The wind blew back. I had silly string all over my Jeep. So I put a moratorium on the other 3 cans of.
It's the price you pay for
Yeah.
celebrations, Mr. O'Leary.
So
it's
there
only once
might-
every 350 years.
There might have been a little mini feud going on in the Jeep, but
Did that get on the ground? I don't think that's biodegradable.
Yeah.
Did you pick it up after you sprayed it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, another listener from Somerville, Mass. Just in. Yeah.
Just to back up for a second on the Westfield Motorsports Club,
Yeah.
they're going to be racing at Lebanon Valley June 12th, and if it should rain on June 12th, they're going to be racing on June 19th. So
That's
if
awesome.
anyone is interested in heading out to Lebanon Valley, which is just over the New York border, be a good chance to get out and support their school and the students and the work that they've done in that particular club.
Yeah, and if you could see that Mustang when we took it in.
It was a hurting unit.
It was tough, and they've made some upgrades to the motor. I think they're planning on putting another different engine in after, but they've had some modifications to it so far. It really does sound good.
It does.
And I think that it's a great project. I know we have kids from all different shops, so it's not just the Auto Tech kids that are in that motorsports club. We've actually grabbed a couple from the different shops. I think there's a couple from construction, manufacturing. I believe there's an IT kid in it.
Yep.
Obviously, the love of cars goes with everybody. So for a lot of different, not just the field that you're working in. So those kids are, we're doubled. I think we're around 20 kids in that.
That's great.
So, and that's volunteer. They come after school, and it's just a great thing.
And also, Kev, not in our little lineup for the parade, but the Polish National Credit Union. If any of the listeners happen to see the parade, that Polish National float, that was done by our school.
Yeah.
Spearheaded by Matt Gomes
Gomes,
down in construction.
Yep.
With some collaboration from some of the other shops, and that float was awesome.
Yeah, it really looked great.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that float is Polish National, they're going to be able to repurpose that at different events. So, like, for instance, the sign that says Westfield State, they can take that off, and if they're doing a parade in Chicopee, they can put elms on.
Oh, nice.
They can kind of, tweak it to.
Did you notice the clock was set for 350?
I did.
Pretty
I did.
Nice attention to detail there.
Details.
Yeah.
So I can't believe they pulled that off. So that was great too. And then the last thing I just want to get out there before we move on, because we always run out of time. Monday night, the boys baseball. They're victorious over St. Mary's 7-2. But what was even more special about tonight, it was all proceeds went for cancer research. So thanks to the players, the coaches, the parents, they put together some incredible prizes and baskets and raffles. And it was a gorgeous night. My friends couldn't make it, unfortunately, but next time. But it was a great night for a great cause, so thanks to all the parents and the boosters and everyone for pulling it off. And the baseball team's doing pretty good, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
When Mrs. Gomez comes on, we'll get an update on baseball and softball.
Boy, right
Is
on
she-
cue.
is she in? Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
we'll get a little athletic update, and we'll get ourselves situated for the Honey Show.
Yeah.
But
Karen making her way in now.
I believe Mrs. Gomez, I'm not throwing you on the spot yet, but I believe our softball is doing the best we've done in a while.
In a long time, and I believe we are tournament bound for both
That
teams.
is awesome. Yeah, so, once she gets situated, we'll talk a little sports for that.
Sure. Washington, D.C. just chiming in.
Are you kidding
Swear
me?
to God, right here.
This is epic right now.
Okay, you ready, Petey?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, super. So thanks for tuning in, everyone out there. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and then we're going to get back, and we're going to dive right into the honey. This is going to get sticky, guys.
Nah, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home. It's been a long night here and a long night there, and these long, long legs are damn near everywhere. Hold up, now you look good, I will not lie, but if you ask where I'm staying tonight, I gotta be like, oh baby, no baby, you got me all wrong, baby. My baby's already got all of my love. So nah, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone. No, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I gotta bid you adieu to another. I will stay true. I will stay true. I will stay true. Now better men than me have failed, drinking from that unholy grail. Now check it out, I got her and she got me, and you've got that ass, but I kindly gotta be like, oh baby, no baby, you got me all wrong, baby. My baby's already got all of my love. So nah, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone. No, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I gotta bid you adieu to another. I will stay true. I will stay true. I will stay true. Oh, I'm sure you will make somebody's night. But oh, I assure you, it's your eyes out, not mine. Oh no, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone. No, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I gotta bid you adieu to another. I will stay. Nah, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone. No, honey, I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I gotta bid you adieu to another. I will stay true. 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 Singing now, singing now, singing now. I will stay true.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3600. 3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio, 89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And welcome back to this week's edition of Tiger Talk, all things Westfield Tech Academy and more. I'm my guest host, Kevin Daly, Little Slice of Heaven with Rob and Kevin today.
Great to be here.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
This is exciting right now. This is a good show.
We got a show on honey.
Yeah.
Talk about fresh programming.
This is...
Now be positive. No,
That's okay. I got it. So we have Mr. Sperry here, our horticulture teacher, and Mrs. Gomez, our health and PE teacher. But that's on top of being beekeepers. Is that what we call you?
Yeah, beekeepers.
Yeah, okay. We've been doing a show on honey, but I do want to. Let's get into the honey, right?
Gotta
let's
do that. Yeah.
Let's get into the honey. So. Let's start with Nate. Nate, give us a little background how you got into this. You're an entomologist, I believe, right?
Yeah, I did.
Tell us what
went
that
back to
is.
School. Well, that's part of the whole beekeeping story.
Okay, go ahead.
So back in 2002, so my grandfather's brother, longtime Westfield resident, lived up on Prospect Street Extension, was a beekeeper. And so he was a really fun guy. He had payloaders, and he was always doing something fun, at his house. And so as a kid, it was fun to go up there and visit him. And he died in the 90s, and he was a beekeeper, and he had all of his equipment up there. But as a kid going up there, everything else was kind of fun, but the bees, as a kid, I just stayed away. Wasn't too interested in getting involved with those. But as I got older, I thought about the idea that beekeeping had kind of been in our family for a while. So his name was Wesley, so he was a beekeeper, and then my grandfather was a beekeeper, and so I decided I would try to keep that in our family. And so what I did was I asked the family if I could go up and take his beekeeping equipment, and that was in 2002, I think. So I got some old equipment, which I found out later wasn't such a good idea, but ignorance was bliss at the time, and I started 2 hives. I lived over by Stanley Park at the time, so I had a couple of hives going there, and started with 2 hives, and then the next year I went up to 4 hives, and then from there I went to 10, and then I just kind of kept growing every year, and so now I have about 50 hives or so that I run.
Wow.
And so it kind of has taken started out as a little hobby, but now it's kind of gotten a little out of control.
Yeah.
But it's something that I really enjoy, and it's I find it to be a stress reliever and something that I just it's one of those passions. It's really developed into a passion of mine. And so I also had a professor when I was at UMass doing my undergrad work in landscape architecture and so forth, who was an entomologist. And I really appreciated his class. And of course, his class dealt with insects that feed on trees and shrubs, and so that was kind of the whole point of that class, to understand how to treat those as a good horticulturalist. But it was so interesting to learn about all the different life cycles of these insects and how they feed and so forth. I said if I ever went back to school to get a master's degree, I would probably get it in entomology. And then coupled with the beekeeping that I got into, it really made sense for me to do that. So. About 5 years ago, I guess it was, I went to University of Florida. I did it all online, distance education, but it took about 2.5 years and got a master's in entomology.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was really, it was a rigorous program. It was really good. I'm not sorry that I did it. So that's kind of what brought me to present day, I suppose.
Yeah, and tell us about how you did got it started at the school. I know we have a hive up top, and at first, a couple of us were a little nervous. We got bees rolling around, but it's been a non-issue. How many years have we had it up there?
Oh, boy.
4?
We've had it up there at least, I think, longer than that, maybe 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 6 years. So I had the idea because I read an article about some schools in the country that, were having bees at the school, and I actually kind of thought it'd be a long shot.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that we would get approved to do that, but the Superintendent Scallion at the time, we had to go to her for approval, and she approved it. And we had a resident in town who underwrote the whole project, which included not only the hives and the suits and all the tools and the bees, but also the fence and so forth that goes around it for protection. And so that was great. And we and that was George at George's Jewelers, by the way.
Oh,
in
nice.
Westfield Business. So we really did appreciate that very much. And so then we started the hives, and so from time to time, every few weeks or so, I go up there with the students, and we'll do an inspection or what have you. And so it's been a good way to to connect the insects that normally horticulturists are waging war against insects, right? That's one of the difficulties of growing plants. But in this case, we're using insects to talk about pollination and so forth. So we have an apple orchard. For those of the people that are listening, we have an apple orchard on the upper campus, and so we can make that connection between the insects that pollinate these trees and the fact that a third of our food supply comes from honeybee pollination, and how critical that is for the United States agricultural industry, and so forth. So, so it's been a good way to a good addition to the program, just to expose students to that. And it's kind of fun when you go up there with the students, who I will often ask students who have never been up there, Mike, so who's a little nervous? And usually you get about half of the students that will say, yeah, I'm a little nervous, and then the other half I know are just lying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
And when we go into the area where the bees are, most people don't understand how many bees are actually in a beehive. And at the height of the season, there might be 60, 70, or even 80,000 bees in one hive. So when you open up that lid, I say, well, there's a bee in here for every person that lives in Westfield. I mean, that's a way to kind of put it into context. And so you can sense the nervousness in the students, but then it just kind of melts away because the bees aren't coming out you to attack you and so forth. I mean, so that it's fun to see that fear kind of subside, and then the interest, and the amazement of what I've experienced for the last 16, 17 years as a beekeeper.
That's a crazy number.
It is.
You're pollen my leg with 70,000.
Oh, Mr. Bailey. We're really...
Yeah, okay.
So how many per hive?
At the height of the season, you might hit 80,000.
And you have 50 hives?
Yeah.
That's a lot of bees.
That's a lot of math. I can't figure out, but that's
it's
great.
It's significant,
yeah.
Have we had any bee stings on campus?
We had our first bee sting this year.
Okay.
But it was through a veil, so it wasn't a hard sting. It was just kind of like a half a dose, Okay. And but the student was fine, and everything worked out okay.
Is there any correlation with the beehive, the orchard, and that beautiful scarlet tanager bird that was spotted? Because that's only the second time I've ever seen one in my life. Folks, if you're listening or watching, you can Google scarlet tanager. Beautiful bird that I spotted up in the orchard.
And it definitely was one, too, sitting right in the apple tree.
Yeah.
I can't speak to the correlation between the scarlet tanager and the bees, but it's likely that the bird was just perching on the branch, Mr. O'Leary.
Yeah. It was. Well, there it is, there, right in your orchard. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, that makes great radio.
Get a shot at it.
Showing a picture on radio, you can't beat it. Although we are live on YouTube TV?
Yeah,
Pete?
Channel 15, YouTube,
Channel 15.
Vimeo, you name it.
It's interesting because you talk about the bee
15
population
Westfield
and
TV.
horticulture is usually fighting against bees, and I get this in the mail. I brought it in because I knew the bee show was coming. Is it true that America's bees are dying at an alarming rate, and like 1/3 of the population?
Let me see it.
Well, there's some propaganda in here that I don't know that it's really directly driven behind, the concern of the bees, because it seems a little political. However,
was that from the NRDC?
It was, but how about the stats though? Do they have a problem? Is pesticides a problem with killing these bees, or are they? What's going on?
It just depends on who you talk to.
Okay,
I'm giving this a quick
quick perusal.
So. All right, so here's my opinion, and people can feel free to disagree with me if they want, and be wrong at their own peril.
Basically,
there's a number of pressures that are on bees right now, and pesticides are one of them for
right.
sure. But the much larger pressure is coming from varroa mites, and so varroa mites are just like a tick would get on our dog or on us. Mites. These varroa mites get onto bees, and these varroa mites used to just live with a species of bee that is in Asia called Apis cerana. And
Killer
that
bees,
particular,
right?
No, Asian
Okay.
honeybees. And that particular bee can coexist with that mite. But then that mite, back in, I believe it was the 1990s, jumped species to Apis mellifera, which is the species of honeybee that we keep.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So therefore, it spread all over the world and has really been a huge problem in vectoring diseases to the honeybees that beekeepers keep worldwide, and so forth. So that is the pressure that is the most significant pressure in regards to keeping bees.
Has there been any situation where you're removing those things? I mean, for fighting them off?
Well,
or?
there's a lot of different techniques that are being used. I mean, beekeepers will, or let me put it this way, good beekeepers will treat their hives, and that might get me into some trouble. There are non-treatment beekeepers.
Okay. Ooh.
But
okay, Karen's not good.
We got to get Karen on
get
here.
into this.
But most beekeepers are treating for mites, and there's a number of ways that we can do that, from organic methods to non-organic methods and so forth. I mean, having some mite treatment plan is really imperative to keep your bees alive. A mite it's been explained to me that one mite on a bee would be like us having a tick the size of a volleyball.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you have 8 or 9 volleyball-sized ticks on you, you
That
can
would
imagine
hurt.
how unhealthy you would be.
Yeah.
And so that happens with our honeybees. So we do have a different ways of treating, and we also are scientists in our field are working on developing queens that have genetics that are where the bees actually groom the mites off of each other, which is effective, but it's just taking some time for that to, for the numbers to get built up enough where it's accessible to everybody and so forth. So there's a lot of different methods that we're using, but it's one of those things that you constantly have to be treating for, because they're never completely out of your hive. You always have a population, and then they really ramp up exponentially throughout the year. So you always have to be aware of the mite load.
Wow. Mr. Sperry, that was a lot of information in a short period of time, but I'll tell you, I'm sure our listeners are appreciating it. Mrs. Gomez.
Yeah, we got to bring Karen in.
Wow. Beehive keeper number 2 here. Tell us what's going now. Obviously, from what Nate just said, there's going to be some. If you guys come to blows, I'm going to have to separate you different styles of beekeeping.
I am non-treatment.
Oh, wow.
I'm more of a hobbyist. I do check my mite population.
Yep.
I am aware of it. I have not been treating, and I've been semi-successful. Unfortunately, out of my 4 hives, I lost 3, but to moisture, not to mites this year.
Yeah, moisture's a problem.
Can I ask a question? How can you see the mites? Do you have
Absolutely.
to? You can.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have an infestation,
Yeah.
you can look at your frame and you can watch the mites on the bees.
Oh,
That's
boy.
gross.
You can also check your bottom boards and look for the ones that have fallen off.
Now, how long have you been doing it, Karen?
I'm probably only in my 4th year,
Okay.
but I kind of knowing we had hives here.
Okay.
I have a few colleagues that do bees themselves, but I guess you could say I'm an environmentalist, backyard homesteader between chickens, solar energy, composting.
Nice.
And knowing that there is a collapse in bees and some issues, and I'll tell you what, it really helps my garden.
Does it really?
Phenomenally.
Yeah.
Couldn't grow cucumbers, and now I have
Isn't
no
that
problems.
something?
Really?
Wow.
Wow. So you've been doing it 4 years. How many hives do you have?
Currently, I have 2. I had 4 last year. I'm always running down to Nate. I got a swarm. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I try and catch my swarms, or I'll make my own splits. But typically, I start with 2 hives to monitor.
Time out.
What does that
Do you
mean?
mind if I just for the
Sure.
layman here?
Yeah.
So when you say there's a swarm, what does that mean? And then the
Professional, so
Yeah,
you may
but
have to help
go
me
ahead.
out.
Yeah, it's okay.
But, so a swarm is when the queen leaves the nest with probably almost half the population.
so the
of
bees
the
will
hive.
follow the queen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the scout bees are going out ahead of time, and there's things that are happening in the hive. They're creating queen cells for the ones left behind, and a lot of times bees will swarm because it's either you're not taking care of the hives, there's too many, it's too compact. There could be other reasons like disease or space issues, but they will fly away with the queen. She'll stop laying, her wings will grow, she'll shrink down, and she'll fly wherever, and the bees will follow her, and you'll see a big cluster like a football of bees in a tree.
Wow.
And most people don't know what to do. A lot of people will spray them or kill them or think they're, but that's why
Call
you have
me.
to know the
Mr.
difference.
O'Leary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you know a local beekeeper or Mr. Sperry, feel free to give him a call, because we will try and do the best we can to catch them, capture them, and keep them alive.
And that's 1-800-CATCH-BEES. Is that what the number is?
I'll be more than happy to get my number out. 413-221-0139. If you have a swarm of bees, you can give me a call.
How do you catch a swarm?
It depends. Last night, I just actually had a call from a gentleman in Agawam, and he had some bees coming in and out of the top of his chimney. So his chimney is about 30 feet tall. So I went over there to take a look at it, got myself up on the roof, and looked down to the chimney, and the bees are actually all the way in the bottom of the chimney.
Oh, wow.
So my mission today is to get them out of the bottom of the chimney when I get out of work. So
I'm going to roll with this here. How do you get them out of the bottom? Do you vacuum them?
I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it. Yeah, I do have a special vacuum that where you can suck them up, which doesn't harm the bees, but I'd have to really contort my body in order to get, because it's just so, I'd have to sit in the fireplace to, and it's probably not going to happen. But I have a product called BeeGo, which is like we use it to evacuate honey supers. Mm-hmm. So if you put it on top, it drives the bees down because they don't like the smell of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to try it on a rag to see if I can drive them up the chimney.
Sure.
But we'll see. It's kind of a long shot, but we're hoping that it works.
Okay.
And I just want to say, a swarm is, just so people understand, that is the natural reproductive system in a beehive, right? So, a hive wants to reproduce. And so the hive itself is the organism, not the individual. So there's been times where, I've been trying to get like a swarm of bees or some bees out of someone's house, and I've smushed one, and people get all upset about smushing a bee. And I have to explain, it's not the individual that is really important in a beehive. It's the colony itself.
The group of them,
yeah. And so you have to think of the colony as the organism and try to save that.
Yeah.
And so, but a swarm is the natural way that bees reproduce.
Do you work with non-honeybee swarms, or that's not your division?
No, honeybees are the ones that really swarm. You don't really get that same function. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It might seem like a swarm when some hornets are attacking you, Mr. Laurie, but
see, people that use that term,
it's
like they say bees are swarming me. That's a different use of the word than a swarm. But a honeybee swarm is an actual reproductive process of bees leaving a colony. It's not just bees buzzing around.
Isn't that something important to note? That
do you remember Winnie the Pooh and the honey tree?
I sure do.
And the swarm of bees chasing him. That's what you got to think of when I'm not an expert.
But they don't chase you. See, that's propaganda.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cartoon, guys. I'm just trying to relay it to the layman term. Mr. Laurie over here, he's struggling obviously with the concept. He's struggling. So
a honeybee swarm is probably one of the safest places that you can be. Yes. I'll say I've captured a lot of swarms with no PPE on at all. That, in fact, I actually got one up by Noble Hospital in between the end of the school day and the beginning of a staff meeting one day.
Really?
And I wasn't late to the staff meeting.
Where do you put them?
Yeah, how do you capture?
So those were just on a branch, and I just shook the branch into a box and then walked into the staff meeting, and no one knew the difference.
Wow.
I went from teacher to rock star to
back to teacher.
Staff meeting.
As long as the queen's in the box, the bees will follow the queen.
Now, the two of you feel comfortable. You can pick out a queen pretty quickly, pretty easily.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Inspected my hives this weekend, and I found both queens.
Wow. This is.
Karen,
we could talk forever on this.
Do you make your own hives, or do you buy
I actually purchased from Mr. Sperry's father. He has an excellent business. With
my father got into a retired teacher. And there was a guy up in Chester who had a business called Bee Tree Acres, and he decided that he would buy that from this particular gentleman who was getting out of it, and so went from retired teacher to beehive maker, and so he's been going. He's very busy right here in Westfield.
Are all hives the same specs, or do they vary?
Well, there's variations. There's 10-frame equipment, there's 8-frame equipment, there's 5-frame nukes, there's
is that based on acreage or land, or
no, it's just based on the size of the hive you want it. So like 10-frame is the most common. 8-frame is sometimes used because they're a little bit lighter, so beehives can get pretty heavy. So sometimes people opt for 8-frame equipment. It's 20% lighter.
And I use 8-frame because I cannot pull a full super off the top of a hive myself. Sometimes they're 40 pounds easy,
and that's because of the honey.
The honey. Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Well, this is so. We got a lot of information in a short period of time. You
Yeah.
guys are great.
We might have to have a second honey show.
Oh my God!
To end the school year.
We still have to do the tasting. too.
No,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
take a
All
break and then come back. If I could produce this, I know Pete's doing it. Maybe we take a break. We come back for the taste testing, and we clean up with the odds and ends stuff with school going on. I want to talk about some senior events with you, Karen, and graduation. But this is that was very interesting, actually.
That was great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll
let's
pay
let's
some
fly on
bills.
out.
We'll take a break.
No,
And,
no.
we'll be
You don't
right
like that
back.
one? Okay.
If you're thinking you're too cool to forget, boy, have I got news for you. Everybody here tonight was boogie. Let me tell you, you are no exception to the rule. Get on up on the floor, 'cause we're gonna boogie, oogie till you just can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. You can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Listen to the music. There's no time to waste. Let's get the show on the road. Listen to the music and let your body flow. The sooner we begin, the longer we've got to groove. Listen to the music and let your body move. Now get on up on the floor, 'cause we're gonna boogie, oogie till you just can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. You can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Listen to my bass.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield. One of our underwriters here at WSKB's Community Radio is Carson Center for Health and Human Services, a nonprofit organization located at 20 Broad Street in Westfield. They provided behavioral health and rehabilitation services in communities throughout Western Massachusetts since 1963. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, families, and couples. You can find them on the web at carsoncenter.org or at 413-572-4132. Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardy siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio, 89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And welcome back to All Things Tiger Talk every Thursday, starting at 7:30 a.m., all things Westfield Tech Academy and more. You're listening to Tiger Talk today with Kevin Daly and Rob O'Leary, Slice of Heaven with Rob and Kevin.
Yeah.
How you doing? What a show so far, huh?
This has been the most information. We got a live studio
Live
on.
studio
Just to
audience.
recap for the people listening out there, just tuned in. We have a
listening
we
throughout
have
the
a live
country.
studio audience. The topic is bees and honey. As you can hear, we have a swarm of bees in here. Don't worry, we're all safe. We're in gear. The Nielsen ratings, temporary Nielsen ratings, Justin, were up 17% over last week with you and Joe, and that's no slight on you guys, but I think it's part material and maybe part hosting and the live studio audience. So we gotta like that. We're up to
been a pleasure working with you.
we've had people from Rhode Island, Washington D.C. comment. Who else?
Boston,
Somerville,
Brighton.
Speaking of bees,
Feeding
Hills, Westfield. Speaking of bees, the Queen, my mother, is listening.
You guys are bad and you're nationwide.
Yeah, that's it.
Hi, Ann.
So I'm interested to see what the overall ratings will be at the end. I hear we're up to like 33 listeners, so that's pretty darn amazing for local radio access and TV.
My.
So back to the show.
Yeah, come on, we got a lot
Let's
to go. You said we are going to go right into it.
I know.
All right,
Let's go.
Let's do
Tooting his
some.
own horn.
We're going to do a taste of honey, which, by the way, was the last song. Boogie Woogie. That was for you, Bill. But anyways,
so we've had Mr. Sperry here. Let's recap. You know, we've had Mr. Sperry here, Mrs. Gomez here. They brought samples of their honey from their racks, and they look different. To be honest with you, I thought, you know, again, layman here, layman terms, I thought all honey looked the same. I know there was different textures and colors, but we got dark, we got light. And is that something you guys can control, or is that the kind of honey bees you get?
For me, it's pretty much up to the bees.
Whatever they do.
I noticed that in the springtime through June, my honey is very light, and then when it comes into fall and I pull in October, it's very, very dark.
Wow, and I think of like maple syrup,
Exactly.
Some maple syrups are very dark and light. So Nate, what do you? What's the
so
what's
right
the
now
reason behind that?
you see as you're driving around, you'll see these plants growing on the side of the road. They have very like a silvery green colored leaf with white flowers on them, and they're usually kind of scrubby and short, maybe about 15 feet tall at the most. And that's a plant called Russian olive, and it's a plant that produces a lot of nectar, so the bees are really looking forward to it. It's just opening up this week, and it produces a really light honey. And then as we move through the season, the plants that flower, Karen's absolutely right, the plants that flower in the earlier part of the spring or late spring, early summer, produce a light colored honey. So we go from Russian olive to eventually to black locust, which I suspect is what Karen has here in her first sample, is black locust honey. And that's I think it's the best honey that we produce in Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah, it's nice, real nice sweet flavor. And so that's a tree that grows usually along rivers and so forth, but you'll see it has, it's just covered with with white flowers.
Yeah.
In about, I would say about 3 weeks or so, they'll be blooming. 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And that's something the bees will seek out themselves, right? They'll find those flowers themselves, and then they return back to the hive.
Yep.
How far will the bees travel to get to their flowering?
They can go up to 4 miles.
Really?
To find a nectar, but they don't. They'll prefer to stay closer if they can.
Right.
But they will travel quite a distance.
Now, Mr. Sperry, with the number of hives you have, do you keep them all at your house, or do you move them? I've seen beekeepers move their hives around in different locations.
Yeah, I do. I move bees throughout the Pioneer Valley.
You do?
I've gone out to pollinate cranberries before, but it's a little far
Yeah.
to go all the way out to Eastern Mass for me. But right now I have bees in Middlefield, pollinating apples, and I have, most of my bees right now are in Russell, but over the long weekend, I think I'll be moving some down to Westfield.
How many hives do you know how to bring to any certain area? Is it by acreage or?
Yeah, it's by acreage and what you're pollinating and so forth.
Can different hives from different bee owners pollinate one area?
Yep.
Is
So
there
there's no problem
competition
with
and fighting with
cross-pollination?
that?
No, the only time you get a problem with that is if you have a hive that's really strong and then one that's weak, they'll rob each other out.
Oh,
Okay.
So, but other than that, it's fine.
Interesting.
And
And how
can I-
long will it take to make honey? That's a good question, isn't it?
Well, they can make honey really quickly. You can, a honey super is, a box where the bees store surplus honey that we would take. They've been known to fill those up sometimes in a couple of days.
Yeah. Really? Wow.
But sometimes you don't get any all year. It just depends on the year. It's like anything else in agriculture,
Do you filter that, or does it come out like that?
I have a nice electric spinner that.
Oh, spinner. Okay.
So I spin it out with a motor, and then I put it through a strainer.
Okay.
But outside of the mesh strainer, it's pretty much unfiltered.
Okay.
Wow. And I'm going to try the blonde roast here. This is, I don't know if it's sweet.
I find the lighter the honey, the more mild it is. And I think to me, the darker it is, it's more of a richer
Wicked
flavor.
good. Oh, you guys can't taste this out there in the public, but this is very good.
Reminds me of Block Island. I don't know why.
Wow. Have you tasted Block Island
Well,
lately?
there's just the nectar in the air when you get on the island.
Wow. So that's something we might get early in the season, that lighter honey?
I typically spin this color, the lighter honey, in June.
Okay. Excellent. Let's do this while
Okay,
we're...
so this is I think Karen's right. This looks like knotweed honey, which is a
Japanese knotweed. Yeah.
plant that grows along roadsides. It's a lot of invasive plants actually make a ton of nectar. So,
did our live studio audience get any of the dark stuff as well? Boy, I noticed a difference in taste though.
Yeah, it's more Cape Cod-ish.
Yeah. Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Wow. And folks, if you're listening at home, you can plant. Karen said, you can plant lavender, catmint, sage, cilantro, thyme, fennel, borage, geranium, snowdrops, asters, buttercups, all good for the bee population. So, put some poppies and sunflowers and zinnias in.
So if you're daring, you can try this one. I took this out of a barn in Hadley.
Oh yeah.
I can't quite say how long it was in that barn for, but honey never goes bad.
Right.
And that's a big black bottle you brought in, Mr. Sperry?
Yeah, it's this one here.
And
it's not for sale.
Was it in the walls?
Yeah, it was in the walls, and I removed the colony from the wall of the barn.
So that could be 20, 30 years old.
It could be.
It could be.
I don't think it's very good.
I gotta be I'm not gonna say anything because that's a nice thing to do. But I liked the first one, the light one we had. Karen, can you put me down for a bottle of that, will you?
Absolutely.
All
Where's
right.
the wall stuff? That one?
Yeah.
Can I try a little bit more wall?
You like it?
Yeah.
I don't really care for it.
Oh, time. Karen, while we're tasting our
we gotta
honey,
get Christy on too.
and we're going to get to Christy. Karen, can you give us an update on our athletics? This is a show about Westfield Tech and everything Westfield Tech. So let's talk about the kids for a second.
So,
what's going on with sports?
We're pleased to say our baseball team is the champion of the Bi-County South, the league champions.
God. We've had that before, but when's the last couple of years, right?
It's been a few
we've
years,
done
yeah.
that?
It's been a few years, so we're happy to say that.
Congratulations to the team and Coach Eck.
Hoping to get a bid into the Mass Voc Athletic Directors Tournament, so we're still waiting on those seedings.
Excellent.
And we have until June 2nd, they'll have the seeding for the Western Mass Tournament, and we've qualified for both baseball and softball in the Western Mass Tournament.
Wow.
And we'll be celebrating senior night today for, I believe, girls softball in, I I believe today, or if not tomorrow, for boys baseball. They have 2 games left of their regular season, and as well as the girls have 2 games left. But today will be their last home game.
Awesome.
cool.
And we got lacrosse going. They're grinding
We do.
it out.
Yep, they have their ups and downs,
Yeah.
but the guys are having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A few of them
Yeah,
are
they
beat
are.
up. They got quite a few injuries right
Yep.
now, but we're trying to bounce back. But the co-op has been fantastic with
Yeah.
St. Mary's and
Yeah.
Westfield Tech.
That's doing well. It's great. And also, talk to us quickly about senior events. I know we had
Yep.
the prom was outstanding at the ranch.
I can't. The
what
ranch,
a venue that was.
fantastic
That was
hosts.
Awesome.
Beautiful. The seniors were outstanding. We appreciated the juniors that supported us and attended the event. Mass Live and Westfield News took some fantastic photos for us. We appreciate that. But it's winding down for seniors. They're finishing up their academics this week. Their permission slips for our senior class picnic is going to be on Tuesday, June 4th at Camp Shepherd. We're excited to be having that. We have our senior breakfast put on by our PVO on Wednesday morning, followed by our award ceremony, and then we have graduation on the hangar on
yeah.
Thursday.
Here we go 2 weeks
Yep.
from today. Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
And
it's
we're,
crazy.
We're ramping it up at the hangar and getting a lot of things done up there, so that's exciting. And I know the kids are excited, so that'll be good. And thanks for all the work you've done, because you've done a great job.
And I know we want to get Christy on, but I have one more plug for any 8th grade student coming into high school sports this evening, starting at 6 o'clock at Westfield High School. We have a Westfield Public School sports night for Westfield Tech and Westfield High School. Our coaches will be there. We'll have student representatives, and we'll get everybody set on how to sign up and get here, because the season starts very soon in August.
Be here before you know it.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
And Christy, we got Christy here.
Yeah, Christy, thanks for coming down from Culinary. Just wanted to definitely give you guys out some props. I know Harry Rock with the 350 approached you guys a while ago. You did 1,000 cupcakes after the parade, correct?
Yes.
Can you just tell us quickly about how that process went? Did you go through all the cupcakes?
Yeah, we
You were
went through all the
frosting on
cupcakes.
site, correct?
Yes. We made all the cupcakes, chocolate and vanilla, not the week before, but Friday of that week. And we were packaging and holding them until Sunday. And then we couldn't logically make enough money back to do all of our own frosting, so we got big tubs, and we got you had me and a few other people stirring it with our Westfield State muscles. And it was just, so you had to do that, and then we had a runner of piping bags, so we had about 20 piping bags.
Oh, wow.
So you have 10 over there and 10 over here getting filled and keep going, so as soon as you run out, you still have a piping bag in your hand.
You guys were in a gazebo, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
great job.
So you got 1,000 of them out there. Everybody ate them. Great.
all the leftovers. One went to the firefighters, and the other one went to the police officers. And the police were actually stopping cars and giving them cupcakes as they were driving by, which was really cool.
Well, thanks for all
Definitely,
your
thanks for
efforts
doing
with
that. Thanks to Culinary for donating their time to do that as well. And we didn't even get to the honeycombs, or
we're gonna have another one.
We got to.
I think the last day.
We got to get Chef
last
Rogers
day of
out here.
school, last day of school.
Last day of school, another one
with the honey.
And maybe we'll broadcast live from the Hive.
Oh boy. Okay.
Another one.
What's on the menu today? Real quick.
We have a Caprese salad, and we also have fish tacos.
Ooh. Okay, nice.
And then as an entree, we have chicken Milanese and broiled Treese major steak.
Wow.
And then we have really good soup. We have
Sounds
a beef
good.
barley made by Miranda, which is
I had
really
it yesterday.
good.
Great job, Miranda.
And then we have a baked potato chowder by Anna, which is really, really good.
Nice. Excellent. Nice. Thanks, Christy.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap it
And
up.
thanks to Mr. Ribeiro and Mr. Groom for the live studio audience, first ever. Anytime you guys want to come to the show, please come. We welcome you anytime.
And we'll do another honey show.
Another honey show.
We'll get back to you on the date.
Yep.
All right,
We'll do
folks.
first,
Thanks for tuning in. We got Chris Rogers coming up next with the Superintendent Spotlight. Oh, Sue Dargy. Hello, Sue. So you guys have a great long weekend. I think the weather's going to cooperate.
Beautiful.
Be well, be safe.
90s.
Thank you.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State.